Well, good evening. Thank you for coming out. And those of you who have been here all 3 years, I'll apologize right now. But you came back. That's what I mean. Yeah, you came back.
Because of you guys.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. I always end up being the doom and gloomer, but I wear the hat with pride. So mine are a little, not darker, but I think they're a little heavier. And so I'm glad you put the positive spin on things before I start messing up here. I was trying to write these for about the last 12, 15 days. And every time I would meditate, a couple things just kept screaming. And so that's sort of what you'll see is the general thread running through all of this. The most important thing, though, I'm going to start with it and finish with it, is this. It is definitely a year of action, all right? We've all sat on the sidelines, we've all made our comments and our political jokes and whatever, but we've kind of sat on our backsides, okay? Let's just be honest, we all have, unless there's a real activist in here, and I didn't mean to insult you, but if you're like me, I've kind of not done so much. And this year is definitely the direct opposite. This is a year where everybody needs to get involved. It has to do on a metaphysical level with the energy that we're shifting into, the energy that's coming in, as Timothy was saying, and it also has to do with the fact that we each have a responsibility. And so that's sort of where most of these things are going to go today. But it's your involvement we're trying to encourage. And by we, I mean the overall collective. I never want these to turn into any type of political platform, so I'm not, and I know they're not, pushing any agenda, just so everybody knows that. It may sound like we're going in a certain direction, but it's not because we're trying to push you there. We're just trying to inform you. So let's start with the elephant in the room, eh? I guess that's all. I'll just end on that. Thank you. We are definitely going through some very unique political times. I believe a lot of it is to, as Timothy said, get everybody going again, get you re-energized. Come on, let's get back in the game. You're still a player here. Why are you sitting on the bench? It is very hard every day to get up, I know, because every day there's a new shockwave coming out of Washington or the White House or some other place, Mar-a-Lago, whatever. And you and I are listening to things on the news. I mean, I'm driving over here hearing S-House is on CNN. I'm going, what? I mean, have we gone that far? Are we really that far down this road? Where even that now is what we're talking about? There have been a lot of people postulating that possibly we're in the middle of a coup. I've heard that from a number of different directions, both positive and negative. That we're there's powers that be trying to reshape the country into a functioning oligarchy with the 1 or 2% running everything and all of us fetching coffee. There's a lot of signs that really back that up. You can't argue that if you look at it. And I feel like that is maybe some part of what's going on. Some say we're in a constitutional crisis, and I would say, if what I'm getting is correct, that we're just getting started. It hasn't even started to go down yet. One thing to keep in mind is I know this for sure for this year, you're going to live through history that'll be talked about for generations. There are some very, very big things coming. If you apply a metaphysical term or a bent to this whole political agenda, there really is an energy replacement going on. You know, the Piscean age ended back when the Baktun ended back on solstice of 2012. And ever since then, the Aquarian energy has been flowing in as Piscean energy fades away. And when you bring two flows together, you get disruption and waves and crashing up on shore and whatnot. That's a lot of what we're seeing right now. Think back over the last 5 years and watch how the curve has just kind of started going up, and getting crazier and crazier as each year went by. Think of it as more of, as Timothy was saying, a purge, getting rid of all the yick left over from the last 2,070 years and washing away all the dirt and filth or mud or whatever you want to call it. Speaking less metaphorically, meaning a lot of truth suddenly surfacing, things that have been going on for decades that everybody's been keeping quiet and shh, don't say anything, you know, we can't get that out, that'd be bad for us. Well, all of a sudden we're seeing it fly out of the closet like, you know, so fast you can't even see it. Think of the Me Too movement. Look at how that's just taken off, and all of the victims that have been able to come forward now and share their stories. Things that have been buried forever, and this does definitely include our government. And remember, these ages, these Baktuns are about 2,070 years in length. I can't remember the exact amount. Does anybody know? It's 2,073 or 2,063 years. Okay, well, then I'm good with 2070. It's going to continue. You're going to see more and more scandal, shocking news coming out, and more of you getting energized, going, okay, that's it. I've had enough. You crossed my line. That's it. Now we're going to change things. I feel the Russia thing is real, although I think it's maybe just the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of you are going to be astonished as more and more of these facts roll out. This is not something that just started with the last year election. This has been going on for quite some time. We just haven't known about it. It hasn't been out in the public's view. Are we again really in a constitutional crisis? Well, I don't know. But by the end of the year, I think we will know whether this is really going to turn out to be something scarier than we could imagine. The one thing that kept hitting me when I was on this topic was this. The energy, meaning the people, involved in this counted on one major thing, and that was you and I would not believe it. Oh, come on, are you kidding? They jacked with voting machines? Are you serious? Come on. What? And we would just sort of brush it off as like, that's ridiculous. And you know what? That's what I've done for almost a full year. I'm just, oh, come on, that can't be right. They can't be doing that. Are you serious? Russia's really attacking us? What? Yeah, well, I'm eating my words, and I don't mean that you have to eat yours, but maybe just pay more attention, okay? You really have to pay attention to everything that's going on right now. You don't have to agree left, right, middle, or none. Just pay attention. You'll do the right thing automatically. I think that the weather extremes are going to continue worldwide. This has been the craziest year on record. Also the hottest year on record, since records were kept by the Weather Bureau. We had more major storms, more damage. I've lost track of how many hundreds of billions of dollars of damage total has happened, but just think of it. Houston got 51 inches of rain in 7 days. I mean, that's enough water to cover the state of New York to a height of 4 inches. Let that sink in. And all of that fell on Houston from a tropical storm that really wasn't supposed to do anything but come up through Corpus. Crazy. And then we already know about Maria, and we know about Irma. I think this coming year, same thing. And I feel sort of a really rough spring for us here in this southwestern zone. I think we're going to have a lot of really severe storms. Much like Tibet, I think the year is also going to have a lot of earthquakes on a very large scale, occurring all around the world, but also I really felt like places in the United States, but with this caveat, places where earth movements are not really accustomed or expected, surprises. I really tried to figure out if that meant Yellowstone and the cauldron there, but sometimes I felt like it did, other times I felt like it didn't. You mentioned something about Utah, that kind of perked me in. Oh, well, you're kind of in that area too then. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. There is seismic activity going on there now. Minor, but still going on. So maybe that's it. Remember, this also coincides with the metaphysical exchange of energy that's going on. Whenever there's great energy exchange, there's always earth movements that accompany that. And I'm not going to bore you with going back and documenting, but you know, you can do that. You can go back and research and notice at the beginning and end of Baktuns, there's a sudden swing way out of earthquake movement. The economy, this is another one I'm not 100% clear on, and I know you're going, wait, we came here and you're not 100%. What is with that? Because I kind of went back and forth. But I do feel the economy's in for a jolt. I'm not necessarily sure it's like a recession. It has something to do with the general devaluation or ceasing to use paper money. I feel it really has something to do with we're going to go to sort of that cashless society thing. There's no more physical money, cash. You just have a card, like we probably all do anyway. And there's your money. Everybody, that's it. The paper money, anything that you have, that is, coin-based or paper money-based, certainly just suddenly becomes useless. So I would suggest if you are going to invest, I would invest in hard goods like gold, silver, diamonds, jewels, that sort of thing. Something that has solid value, as opposed to those pieces of cotton we all have in our wallet. I have noticed in my practice, and maybe you've noticed it too, a general upswing in the number of people that are dissatisfied with organized religion. The God in a box thing just isn't working anymore. They're not getting the answers they want. They're feeling, because they're being energized by this new energy, they're feeling pushed to ask more questions, to drill down a little deeper than just, okay, I go to church on Wednesday and Sunday and I tithe 10%, I'm good. That's just not solving it for others. I have noticed in so many of my clients this feeling of sort of general unrest or ill ease, if you will. And when I ask them what's going on, they go, I don't know, I'm just anxious. I can't figure out why. We'll talk about that a little more here in a sec. There's going to be a much greater need for mentors and teachers of spiritual ways. So all of you who are members of Satori, I'm talking to you, okay? Be ready to help out. I couldn't do a prediction tonight without North Korea. That would be just ridiculous. So I'm still feeling an inherent danger from North Korea, but I'm not necessarily convinced. It doesn't feel to me, I don't see it totally as them being the actual culprit. And again, this is what you brought up. I saw Iran or Turkey as the actual conspirators behind this unrest and just sort of goading North Korea into it, maybe even a false flag. I don't know, that gets too conspiracy theory for me, but you know what I mean? Somehow or another, Iran and Turkey have their finger in this pie. There just seems, every time I focus on North Korea, I get this feeling of impending doom. It just feels like, ugh, what is wrong here? Something does not add up here. Something doesn't feel right. I don't know if it has to do with the upcoming Olympics this year or not, but I just don't feel comfortable with it. And that's what my clients talk about every day. I don't know, I just feel like the other shoe's waiting to drop. I never feel comfortable anymore. I don't go home in the evening and lay in bed and relax. I lay there and worry. And then of course turn TV on and there's 1,000 things to worry about. Trump does fit into this, yes, and so does North Korea. Do they really do something stupid? Again, I'm not sure, but somehow or another they are in there. And I will be firm on saying this, I think this is the year the regime has to fall. And there's really a very solid reason for it. They are, what is the only country in the world that does not have a Federal Reserve Bank? North Korea. Okay, wait for it. What were the last two countries in the world that didn't have Federal Reserve Banks? Iraq and Iran. And after you know how we took care of Iraq, and I guess still are, and then Iran was done a little more subtly through the nuclear deal and all that, but either way, they both ended up with national reserve banks. That opens the door to all the Bilderberg and Rothschild conspiracy theories, I know, but I can't deny the truth. That's just really weird that the only country we're talking about unleashing fire and fury is the only country left that doesn't have one of those banks in it. And those banks control all the currency in the country. That's why they're so important. Somehow or another, watch. I will go on record saying I'm sure Kim Jong-un is out before the year's over. Now with that said, a lot of clients have asked me this, and feel free to laugh if you wish, because I do sometimes. Is Donald Trump the Antichrist? I know. I laugh too. But then I started doing some, his real name is Trumpf, and they come from Austria, and they're German, and there's actually a pretty strong indication of some Jewish heritage in there, Austrian Jewish lineage. So that would then kind of fit the lineage description, so okay, check. He's such a humble man, I couldn't imagine filling that role as a narcissist, for God's sakes. One of the people brought up, well, he's supposed to have this massive head wound, according to the scripture, which I'm not saying I totally buy into. But this person asked. And they said, so what do you think that is? It's supposed to be like a sword or something, you know, they wounded. And I'm like, seriously, I don't think people carry swords around much anymore. And so then another psychic friend of mine said, you know, I was thinking about that because we were kidding about it, and she went, what if it was a stroke? What if he had a stroke? That's a mortal head wound. And then he somehow recovers from this stroke. Ooh, okay, something to think about. Now you have something to help you fall asleep tonight. Actually, it kind of, I mean, you know, I could spin that. I think that could happen. At least indirect fascist overtones that we're seeing with a lot of these recent decisions and comments and movements is a bit disturbing to me. My great-grandparents immigrated from Austria in '29, escaping the fascism in Germany. And so that's always been sort of a topic in my family growing up. Everybody talked about, you know, how grandma and grandpa got out just in time and all this. So I've always sort of been a semi-student of that, and there's a lot more going on than you might think if you stop and really pay close attention to all the fine lines. And so now we're back to you again. It's up to you. We all have got to start paying attention. We can never allow ourselves to think, oh, that can't happen here. Are you kidding? That's ridiculous. Because that's pretty much what everybody in Germany said from 29 through 35. And remember, he was elected. He didn't seize power. He rode in on a giant wave. So that makes most people stop. Think about this. How many people feel, and I think this is going to continue this year, that our police is becoming too militarized? I mean, I'm up for good, solid police work, but I don't need an army in that role. We've got an army for that. I think that a lot of this sudden push that you've seen by the ICE agents cracking down is starting to get borderline gray shirt, or brown shirt, I mean. And maybe I'm just getting too old, I don't know, but it sure seems like something's up here that I'm not seeing totally. I just want to, one more time, say, remember, as Timothy said, it's an 11-year, right? 2 year. Well, 11 isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's change or growth. And what I keep hearing is to add the word drastic to that. It's drastic change and growth, which can seem really great and it can seem really horrifying. So either way, though, it's moving, and that's what we've got to hang on for. Do not take anything for granted from here on out until I tell you different. That would be my biggest thing to say to you tonight. And this came to me 3 times, so I decided, okay, there's the magic 3, so I will do this. I just kept hearing, both from my guide and from whatever the collective was I was channeling at the moment, that I need to remind you tonight of the words by a German Lutheran pastor named Martin Niemöller. And if I mispronounce that, I'm sorry, Martin. It was a poem he wrote in 1946. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was nobody left to speak for me. So this is going to be a year of drastic and shocking change, some good, some bad, maybe some we can't call yet. But what I do know more than anything else is this is the year you cannot be a bystander, all right? If you do, the result is going to be horrible. It's going to depend on us standing up and claiming what we know to be right and truthful, all right? Peace, resist.